Hello, I'm the ASMR Psychologist. Welcome to my channel. Now, in today's video, I'm going to share with you some very interesting information that I have discovered about ASMR and how we can potentially intensify or boost it. Now, if you like this type of video, where I share interesting new information about ASMR, let me know by giving me an up thumb. I do lots of different types of videos on this channel, so it's always good to know what you like, so I know to give you more of that. And also, if you find this helpful, please consider sharing it with a friend. Okay, so what we're going to be looking at today is a research study. Now, there's only been 11 research studies that have actually been published in peer-reviewed journals. And what that means is these studies have been submitted to a panel of experts in their field, and they have reviewed the methodology of the study and looked at its results and implications and its importance in terms of forwarding the knowledge in that area. And it's only studies, of course, that meet particular criteria and a particular standard that are then published. And I think in total 11 research studies have been published looking at ASMR, which isn't many, considering how many people experience ASMR and the popularity of this phenomenon. 11 studies is not many at all. It does seem to have been largely overlooked by academics and health professionals. I'm not quite sure why that is. It may be because sort of social media has taken ASMR and it probably feels less of a serious topic for some academics, so they've maybe not considered it, but I'm hoping to change that. One of the functions or purposes of this channel is to try and link psychology and science to ASMR so that we can begin to explore its potential, not just for sort of recreational relaxation, but for boosting treatments for mental and physical health. But there's a interesting research study that was conducted or published last year in 2018 that suggests a way that we could boost or intensify ASMR. What it does is it looks at the relationship between something called mindfulness and ASMR. If you watch this channel, you've probably heard me talking about mindfulness before. Mindfulness is a way of directing our awareness, our focus, our attention, without judging that. It's about a kind of an openness to sensations, and it brings with it emotional stability and balance and resilience. So it's quite an important and beneficial strategy or technique. It has a lot of health benefits as well, which I'm going to talk to you about in a little while. But it has some real similarities with ASMR. Obviously, they're both about sort of intentionally focusing or attending to a trigger or a stimuli, and they both bring with them a feeling of relaxation and well-being. Okay, so this study took 284 people who identified themselves as ASMR responders and 278 people who identified themselves as non-ASMR responders, so people who didn't experience ASMR. Their average age was 28 and 54% of them were women, so quite a even split gender-wise. And all of these people, not unsurprisingly, were recruited online. So let's look at the results. Okay, so what the study found was those people that had identified themselves at the beginning of the study as being ASMR responders or experiencers were much more likely to have a mindfulness personality trait. So this is a tendency to be open, curious, more aware of the current moment, the world, rather than their minds being drawn into the past, pushed into the future. And what researchers said was that this indicated that ASMR is a very active cognitive process. So it's not the case that it's kind of just happening randomly to some people and not to others. And what this means is that it's different from similar, or what have been suggested as similar phenomena, like the automatic sensory response of synesthesia. And this is where one sense simultaneously perceives another. So you may smell or taste a colour, for example. I mean, those of us who experience ASMR kind of know that anyway. I think we know that it is possible to control ASMR to a certain extent, to suppress it if and when we need to. But the sort of overarching conclusion of this study is that you are more likely to experience ASMR if you are a mindful person, if you have this mindfulness personality trait. So a mindfulness trait is a sort of a stable and enduring personality feature. But it is also a state. Mindfulness can be a state that we can create or conjure with practice. So what the study is suggesting is that we may be able to create or enhance ASMR by practicing mindfulness. Even if you're not maybe that way inclined, even if you are that type of person whose mind struggles to stay present, is always worrying in the past or worrying about the future. So we could train our minds to be more mindful, which has many health benefits. I'm going to talk to you about those in a minute. But this would also mean that we could experience a stronger ASMR, or begin to experience it if we don't already. With all of these research studies, because there have been so few, this is very speculative. But the idea really does hold some potential, which I guess is why it was published in the first place. Now, if you fancy a go, trying out mindfulness, I'm going to take you through a very, very simple, easy technique. There's two ways of being mindful. You can kind of do a formal meditation where you put aside half an hour every day or more sometimes and meditate. And there are some videos on this channel if you fancy that way of approaching it. Or you can approach it in a more informal way, and I would suggest that if you're new to this, you start there. Otherwise it's a commitment that's difficult to sustain, so you sort of break yourself in gently. And there are some videos on this channel where I talk about John Kabat-Zinn's mindfulness attitudes, and these are quite nice. They're sort of approaches that you can take to life, so you don't actually have to do anything particularly different. They don't take up time as such, but you sort of consider these approaches, and as you consider them, as you kind of carry them around with you, you notice that you're sort of slightly changing the way you're interacting with the world in a more mindful way. So you can take a look at those as well, but the exercise I'm going to show you is something you can just do when you're doing your life, I suppose. But I'm going to just run you through the health benefits of mindfulness, a little bit of added motivation to engage in this kind of way of doing things, because this would mean you enhance your ASMR whilst at the same time getting some really rather nice health benefits. So I've jotted them down here. Let's have a look. Okay, so first of all, and this is always a nice one, mindfulness research has shown that mindfulness helps improve the quality of our sleep. And there's one particular article that I read that says it also helps to reduce sleep-related daytime impairment, so those things that affect us during the day because we haven't slept so well. Interestingly, mindfulness also helps with weight loss goals. So there's been a number of studies that have measured mindfulness as an intervention for stressful eating. Eating mindfully is actually easier than it sounds. It's about just paying attention to what you're putting in your mouth, what it tastes like, the texture, being aware of when you swallow, taking pauses to consider where you are. What it also does as well, eating in this way, is it slows down how quickly you eat, which is very important for weight loss, because it actually takes 20 minutes for your mind to register that you're full. So eating mindfully gives you a chance to, your mind a chance to register that you've had enough. It really does help with overeating. It reduces stress. Research has shown that mindfulness can reduce the stress hormone cortisol. It helps with loneliness as well. Research supports this particularly in those people that have lost a partner or a spouse. It reduces negative feelings. It improves our ability to concentrate and sustain attention, so really good if you're studying or in any situation. It's very effective for chronic pain, whatever that may be, whether it's back pain or limb pain or migraines. It reduces the pain itself, or maybe increases our ability to tolerate the pain, but it also reduces the anxiety associated with the pain that you're experiencing. This is an interesting one. It's used a lot in the treatment of depression, particularly to prevent relapse. It's been very, very effective. The study that I was looking at was looking at people that had had at least 3 previous episodes of depression. So it's helping people who are have really been quite poorly. A couple more here. Just turn this piece of paper over. Got caught on my clipboard here. Okay, so it's really good for anxiety. And the study I read, just a single session of mindfulness was effective, and researchers are also suggesting that it may help reduce our risk of developing cardiovascular problems. And finally, this might be my most favourite, it increases grey brain matter. So in the areas of the brain that are involved in memory, learning, the regulation of emotion, and self-referential processing, which is our ability to think about how things affect us, what things mean about us. So in these areas, the areas of the brain that are responsible for these things, grey brain matter was shown to increase with mindfulness. So, it seems like there's lots of advantages to trying this, so I'm hoping I have motivated you enough to try this exercise with me. So, you don't have to be sitting comfortably, but it might be more enjoyable if you are. If you just take a deep breath in, and as you exhale, close your eyes for a moment. And without changing the way that you are breathing, I just want you to become aware of your breath. Firstly, how you're breathing, how quickly you're breathing, how deeply you're breathing. Again, not intending or attempting to interfere with your breath, just observing it as if it was somebody else's breath that you just happened upon. And notice where you're breathing. Are you breathing in through your nose and out through your nose, or in through your nose and out through your mouth? Or are you doing all of your breathing in and out of your mouth? Is your chest moving? Or your stomach moving? Just for a moment or two, follow your breath as if it's leading you somewhere really interesting. Be curious. And if you notice that your mind has wandered away from your breath, which it will, because that's what minds do, they wander about and off to all sorts of places. As soon as you notice this, just gently, without judging, pull it back, or guide it back to your breath, and continue with this endeavour. And now, I want you, on your next exhale, to open your eyes. And I want you to look around you. Look around the room that you are in, as if you are noticing it for the very first time. Begin by your feet. Look at the floor. Look at the type of flooring, the colour, the texture. Maybe noticing things you've never noticed before about the floor. Let your eyes, your gaze, then track slowly across the floor to the nearest wall, noticing any objects along the way, what they are, their shape, their colour, their texture, maybe their function. Look at them with curiosity, as if you are seeing them for the very first time. And let your gaze track up the wall directly in front of you. Again, noticing as you go all the different aspects aspects of that wall in front of you. Now I want you to, if you can, find a window that you can comfortably see out of, and notice the time of day, the season, the weather. Become aware now of yourself, your body, your feet on the floor, your bottom on the chair. You may notice discomfort in some aspects of your body. Without trying to change the discomfort, just notice it. Make a note of it. Sit with it. And now, gently bring your awareness back to your breath. Again, noticing where you're breathing from. Your nose, your mouth. Is your chest moving? Your stomach? Note, is it different from when you began this mindfulness practice? Don't try and change or interfere with your breath. Just observe it as if it was someone else's breath. Follow it. Then again, if your mind wanders, note as soon as you notice where it has gone, and then just very gently guide it back to your breath. Okay. Then take 3 more breaths. And then pause. Okay, so it's very simple. It's just about directing your attention in a particular way, and you can really be mindful about anything. You can mindfully brush your teeth, mindfully wash your hands, mindfully go to the loo. It doesn't really matter what you pay attention to. That's the beauty of it. You can do it all the time, anytime, anywhere. It's just the act of focusing your mind that seems to have all these benefits for us, including the potential to boost ASMR. So, see how you get on with it. Maybe pop your experiences in the comments. Let me know how you found it. Was it difficult, easy? Sometimes it's easier than other times. It'd be interesting to know what makes it easier or harder for you. And if you can, maybe practice it over a few weeks. Let me know if it makes a difference to your ASMR. I think it would be interesting for us maybe to do a little bit of research into this ourselves and see if we can maybe get something published in a peer-reviewed journal. Anyway, we'll see. Okay, I hope that this was interesting, enjoyable, all of those things. Thank you very much for watching. If you are interested in some exclusive content, you can come over and see me on Patreon. The link should pop up just here. But in the meantime, I hope that you enjoy whatever it is you're doing next, and hopefully I will see you really soon.